that's one window. All the junk that was in the way. That's a new window. Pretty well. It's one of the newer windows in the home. Look at all that. It's still. Yeah, it's gotta be touched up, guys. So on a seam, a little bit is okay. Like that, that's perfect, right? What you see there is on the outside of the window. I can't do anything. But this stuff here, where you've got paint, literally like a whole stroke away, that's too much. And that's why they've hired me, because I can tell the difference just by looking. And then I'll be able to go in and set a good cut line. Big difference here. So you've got much cleaner. And you got this stuff. You see all the boogers? They're everywhere, right? Or it can be clean. Remember, some of this stuff is on the outside of the window, so I can't do anything about it, but those paint lines are on the inside. I'm just gonna clean them up a little bit, so. That's all. vacuum to mitigate how much dust and chips and dirt is getting released, because I've already cleaned this room pretty well. Anytime you're painting, you want to try to lower the amount of chips. Okay. So now I go through with a dust brush. All right, and we're gonna, because I went and chipped into every single nook and cranny, every seam with just this tool. So now I've got to come through and just work away any smaller dust. Matter of fact, there's actually quite a bit. There's enough there to vacuum while I dust. Because remember, even if one particle gets into your paint, you're going to have a little bump or booger there, and then it'll forever be in your paint. You want your paint as clean and filtered and perfect without any chips, dust, debris in it as possible. Once that paint cures, it's there forever. So, believe it or not, that brush actually gets really deep into all these crevices and lifts and manipulates and moves around. And I actually got quite a bit of dust from doing that third coat, you know, or that third draft, whatever, of going through and making sure it's clean. That's all. So those are prepped and ready to be caulked, because as you can see, we've exposed some weaknesses. See all those deep pockets? These pockets right here is where the paint will pool up, and because there's so much paint, it'll start to lift, and it just creates problems when you go to paint it. You can see in between there's little pockets. See in between there? Those little air pockets in there is what causes, it just takes twice as long and it's twice as irritating, I guess. So what we do, we go through and we put caulking to fill those gaps and cracks. Caulking gun, very, very small hole cut on this. Okay. Sometimes it's just too much. Okay. You guys like the difference? See how those crevices are filled? Okay, now look at these. See the big difference, right? See that? Look at this one. It's a big one, right? See that? Okay, compared to this. So it's important. It's definitely important. See, the hard part about this is to put just enough sealant in there to where you're filling the gap, but not overfilling and then making a big mess. That really is a very hard part of this specific job. I'm doing pretty good. I mean, we could always be better, but caulking is messy to work with no matter what you do with it, you know. And it's necessary. This is so necessary. They're gonna get way much more out of this paint job. But a lot of people won't do it because it takes long. It takes some time to do, and it's a pain in the butt. And it's messy if you're not careful. Okay. So I like to set it with a wet rag, and then I'll go through and clean up with a dry rag. And that just gets rid of any streaking. I've already cleaned the windows really well. That's at the beginning of the video. Before I turned the video on, I actually went through with a razor blade and a wet rag and then dry ragged it, just to kind of see where the window was as far as needing, how much prep it was gonna need, you know. The only thing is here, you're gonna need a lot of small, dry, clean, brand new rags. They can be washed. You don't have to throw them away, but you're gonna need a lot of them. Okay. Yeah, so that dry rag, it just, when it comes through and wipes, it takes all the streaking away. Very important to not let this sit, because if you let them cure up, it's going to be harder to clean up later. So stay right on it until you've got what you want out of it. The more work you put in, the better it will be. we're just about ready to paint it. And I'm gonna let the caulking cure harden. I'll come through and I'll spot prime some of the bad exposed wood. But other than that, I'm gonna leave these specific sashes to cure up for the day. There's plenty of trim to get done. I'll at least leave them till the end of the day to tackle them then. This window was the worst. So now I just gotta grab another rag or two. I love using the rags as a sweatband because it stops the sweat from dripping down into my eyeball, and that sweat actually does sting. So I try to stop it, and I just use a rag. I just fold it up like 4 or 5 times on my forehead, let the rest fall, and then I tighten her down like that. Just 2 overhands, and it stops that sweat from getting down into my eyeball. So we have 3 sashes complete. This sash is 90% complete. This lower here, I just gotta caulk it and wipe it out and we're done with all of them. So it's actually coming along pretty good. I was actually worried it was gonna suck the life out of the job, but as long as you don't give it all your energy, it won't consume all your energy, right? So there's things there that I'd like to fix, but I've got it at like 96%. The way I like it, you know? Okay, we got new dry rags. I'm just gonna clean up my wet rags here. Convenient, I got a sink right here. But it's also important to get these 2 correct because you know you're always there doing dishes. You're always looking out the window, and I'd much rather look out the window and see the world than have to stare at all these bad spots. And the cleaner the window, the nicer the feel. So we're doing good. We're almost there. Got to fill in a few more micro gaps here. Always remember to clean with a wet rag first. That'll help it stay alive, and it'll help you not suck the water out of the caulking, because you really want that to adhere to the wood. So you want that moist caulking to really flow deep. And if you sucked all the sealant out of the water out of the sealant, it's not going to want to kind of, when you push it in, when you wipe, and you're forcing that caulking deep in the crack, it's not going to have enough liquid to really go deep. It'll just kind of stay outside, and then the next thing you know, it'll peel off. So the deeper you get your caulking, the more grab it has, and it won't peel out. Like a lot of people will just leave an exterior bead, and they're not getting deep into the crack. They leave that nice caulking line, and they think, oh, that's done. but then in just a year, it peels right off in this long kind of rails there. So I'm just gonna caulk this in real quick. We'll wipe it down. We'll come out of here. I gotta start back up on the back side of the room. And I got trim. I gotta catch up those first windows. With paint, so we gotta really focus on brushing the trim paint on today. There we go.
Run off to the hospital. Coo, come on, you gotta get out of the way, buddy. Yeah, that's where you peed. You went and smelled it right away.
Okay. Yeah, this was definitely the worst window of all of the four. Okay. We just did all of them. Hopefully, without making a big mess, we can just push what's there deep in between the pane and the sash and make a nice formal bead on the outside. That's really the goal. You don't want to do what I just did there. Now remember, that wet rag is going to keep it alive, keep it workable, and keep it wipeable later on once you're done. So the wet rag is definitely key to success right here. You might say, oh, well, it's making streaking lines. That's perfect, because it gives your rag just enough.
Call him again.
Good luck with the blood draw.
Going up the stairs. Call him again.
Cuckoo. Come on, Pop.
Daddy wants you. You can't come to the hospital with me, buddy. I dread this as much as you hate going to the vet clinic.
Right.
But sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Okay.
I'll see you in a bit, Jim.
I don't know what's. All right, there we go. We have.
Toothpaste on my face. Fine.
How many times have I wiped this? See ya. Look how dirty that is. Remember, every bit of dirt is a little bit. A little layer between you and your paint, or what you're painting into your paint. So now that I have this cleaned up, we're gonna come in, just get rid of all of the blushing here. Okay, so that window's done. Come through, eliminate the streaking, pull the moisture, use the moisture to buff the window, and then you peel out. paintable. We're gonna let it cure up though, because I don't want that caulking to pull out of those cracks and crevices. When I go to paint, that brush will grab it and pull it. So you really want to let that cure up. I would just give it a full day. There's no sense in trying to beat time. Just choose your course of actions correctly, and it'll get done in the correct sequence, and you won't need to rush or develop any, you know. Okay, nice new rag. Come in. See, we're getting rid of all that extra. I'll show you here. So this is a window that's done. And you see all the streaking from the wet rag. See all that around there? And that's gone from this one, right? So that's what we're wiping away right now. There it is. So now the only thing left is, you don't have to, but I like to. So you see how my finger has created that kind of little arch in between all those angles? So what I do now, I just go through with a wet, well, I can do dry rag. Use that square on my multi-tool. I take a rag. I'm just gonna come in and pull. Now you can see there's a little bit of caulking there. And you can see how much cleaner. Oh, sorry. You can see how much cleaner that one corner is compared to the others. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna go in and pull. Pull. Oh. Wow, sir. Okay. Now, come in with that final rag and pull away from each corner. We're gonna grab our corner and pull to the middle. And what that's gonna do, it'll finalize each corner, because we've already wiped away the excess. Now we're making sure there is no excess anywhere. I don't like that. And it's okay to go back and revisit. If you've pulled out all your caulking, well, there's no point in just leaving it. You gotta fill it back in. And that's okay when you're wiping things. You know, it will pull out sometimes. Pause. See, because this, when I, sorry about that. Sorry about that. So when I pull that little arch out, sometimes it'll leave a tail out there in this corner, and you really don't want that, so it's good to just make sure you go through and wipe everything down correctly. Wow. That's so much cleaner and more paintable now. So everything has a nice wet seam, basically receiving the paint well. There are no big deep gouges in between the panes. All of the big junk, boogers, clumps that were from the factory where they pressed in there, those are all cut away, vacuumed away. Everything's wiped down like 5 times. You can't ask for a better palette, or canvas, I shall say. You cannot ask for a better canvas to paint than that right there. And what did I do? One second, guys. I just wanted to be stubborn. It's okay. Sometimes I'm stubborn too. So all I did was multi-tool, used a multi-tool. We cleaned it with a razor and a wet rag. Then we vacuumed, dust brushed. Then we caulked all the gaps and cracks, which is the big gouges in between. Then wiped it down with a wet rag, and then cleaned the pane with a dry rag. And that's what you get. Now this hasn't been caulked. This has been cleaned and dust brushed, but it has not been caulked. And you can see how bad that's gonna pool if we don't get to it. So we gotta caulk this window. Those 2 windows have been cleaned, vacuumed, dust brushed, and sealed, and then cleaned again. Both of those have been. That window doesn't need it. I've cleaned the windows, they're fine. But this window, as you can see, definitely has some big, deep gouges that we want to address. If we don't address those panes will be falling out within 10 years tops. Okay? So we're gonna just caulk through it and get it ready for a nice paint job. Yeah, she uses me for an excuse to do whatever she wants. Definitely. She tells you, she says, Dada would have let me. Okay. Alyssa. I can't tell you how bad I need you. I need you for this, 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 that, and that. In that door, and that door. 2 doors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 3 doors, and 6 windows. I need your help. No one's gonna come here and do it the way you and I can do it. And I need your help. I'll pay you cash. I'll pay you. I will literally pay you. But you could be making money and helping the business grow and doubling our chances of succeeding and getting our bills paid so that we can buy our next house. How's this? If you help me at work, I'll help you Saturday and Sunday on housework. And I'll pay you for every hour you're here. Monday? Sounds good. You could come today. Why don't you come today to get a little kind of a whiff of it? Meet me at lunch. I know you don't need money, but I don't want anyone thinking, oh, he's just using her. I will pay you. But why don't you meet me for lunch? Meet me for lunch at Hannaford. And we'll go into Hannaford. And then we'll come to work. How's that? Is it a date? I gotta get your Valentine's Day today anyway. But I'll do that when you leave. And I'll do it on the way home. Hey, guys. I can just have to be back to get Ari out of the bus and take Colby to the dance. Okie dokie. So that's a couple hours. You could probably paint a door or a window in that time. Anything, a little bit of help is help. And I don't trust anyone in here. I mean, no one that's available to work that I know of other than you. People would have to show me their resume to let them in here because this is a very specific, very honorable, high-end paint job. This house was built before the state of Maine was organized. This land was called Massachusetts. The United States of America weren't even born yet. This house was built before the United States of America was born. Let's do 12 o'clock at Hannaford. Well, how's this? Just get ready and tell me when you're coming to town and I'll meet you. How's that? Oh God. All right. This is right next to the stove. As you can see, hood fan stove, okay? And just like the ceiling above, I'm gonna have to wash this down. Get a little bit of grease lightning. At least on the horizontal surfaces. Yeah, you really want to get that grease off of there. We got it. Sorry about that. I'm trying to clean that wall, but you know how it goes. Okay. Yeah, grease lightning is the way to go. 100%. Okay. So now we're just literally going to fill in the gaps and the cracks. Oh. Ooh. Lovely. Oh. So there's the beginning. Now we gotta clean it all. Ah. Okay. So, okay. Clean and dry. Oh, okay, we're getting there. Okay. Now we have to clean. Sorry, clean the corners. So we just pull. Ah. Okay. Now that we have removed the arch and given the corner a nice perpendicular angle, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pull from each corner towards the middle of each pane. So grab the corner, pull to the middle. Grab the corner, pull to the middle. Corner, pull, corner, pull. Found. Now remember, this is with a dry rag. We're getting rid of any glazing. We're getting rid of any streaking. So we're getting there. One more pane to go. Remember, you want your window to be like as clean as possible when you paint, because you really don't want to have to go back and start wiping with a rag and going around it. Once your paint is on, that's the last thing. Generally, that's what you want. Remember, I've already gone around the whole dining room and kitchen area and caulked all these big gaps and cracks. So all of those have already been addressed. Yeah. Okay. I need to get a clean wet rag system. Okay. It's just this top sash, and then we're done. Remember to be light. You do not need a lot of caulking. Matter of fact, less is more. Because the more you put on, the more you're going to have to wipe off. If there's no deficit, you really don't need sealant. So the only reason we're putting this on there is so that the paint doesn't have a pool line that will soak into and then create a big pool on you. We're filling those pools with caulking, and your brush will glide right through everything. So now, wet rag. Trying to grab a new part of that rag every time I wipe, because I want a fresh rag to grab into that. Okay. And when you get that extra on your finger, it's okay to kind of back drag down onto where these attach. Okay, clean rag, clean dry rag now. We're gonna grab all of that glazing and all of the moisture, and we're gonna pull any tails away, little caulking tails, bumps, boogers, whatever. We're gonna wipe them right off. I'm really setting that sealant deep, and whatever isn't needed, I'm wiping off. I'm taking it up. Remember, prep is everything. Prep is like 70-something% of the job. Sashes are a little different. Sashes, they take long to paint as well, but it's, in my book, it's just something that's got to get done. Unfortunate, but it's something that's got to get done. And really, seriously, wipe any bit of sealant that you do not need off, because it's just going to fight your paint line. Cool. Now that I've got that, now I'm just going to come through and make sure by going from the corner to the middle. I'll use a new part of the rag, or else you'll create more mess. Matter of fact, where is a new rag? That's what I need. A nice new rag. These windows are specifically more dirty because they're right next to that stove. So that just creates more of a greasy area. But now that I've cleaned them, no one would know the difference. Ooh. I need a new rag. nice brand new rag here. I like to rip them into smaller ones. Take one large one, make 4 out of it. You got 4 times the product. Okay. Yeah, we're really getting somewhere. There we go. Okay, so there it is. I will be right back. I will set up a whole new live in a second. Okay, sounds good. So I'll see you there around noon. Love you, Tink. Yeah, so now all of these windows are prepped and ready to paint. Super stoked about that. That door is ready, that's ready. What I'll do when I get back, I'll get my brush and I'll come through and I'll hit any spots that like wood. That's called a pre-paint. Instead of a prime or a pre-prime, we're gonna pre-paint it, and it'll just be only on the areas a spot paint. Only on the areas that'll fight me later. Keep it light. Stuff up here, right? Then I'll come back through over here, because I've already did that with all this. Then I'll come back through over here and start completing, like you can see there, I spot painted, right? There's a few areas around that I had to spot paint. Even the wall, when I did the ceiling up top, I used that primer to get the wall. And that's just gonna help you when I go through my first coat. I won't have as much flashing and as much problems because I'll already have tackled areas like that with a light coat that'll dry fast and allow a barrier of separation between my first coat and the existing, what you see. I'll catch you guys in a sec and see you there.